Okay, we're getting ready. Okay, we're getting ready to go on. All right, we're getting ready to go on with the professor. All right, hold on 1 second, professor. Gonna bring you on. Gonna bring you on with a well-deserved round of applause. Of course, can't can't do that without that. Apparently that my chat, they disabled my chat, so we're just gonna talk, and if anything. All right. So without any further ado, my family, I want to let everybody know before I unmute the professor himself. Okay, get ready to go on. And all right, get ready to go on with the professor. Let me see. All right, hold on 1 second, professor. Gonna bring you on. Gonna bring you on with a hold on. Bring you on with a well-deserved round of applause. Of course, can't do that without that. Great. All right. Good. Now I can still hear me. That's good. All right. Let's. All right. First and foremost, before we bring on the Baba right now, we're about to bring him on right now. I think these people have really stopped my chat, but it's all good. People are coming into the room. And I just have the distinguished pleasure of bringing in a family member that I've known for many years. And of course, from slave theater to now, this brother has been doing the work. He's been on the front lines for probably 50 or more years. Bodyguard for Malcolm X's sister, of course, an imam of the Muslim Mosque Inc., brother of trained martial arts. He's taught in colleges and distinguished places all over the world. I want everybody to welcome the one and only Professor James Smalls in the building. We in the building, Professor. Can you hear me, sir?
I like that. Yes, sir.
You know, that's what I do on stage, brother. That's what I do on stage. How you feeling today, Papa? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, I'm happy to be here with you first and foremost, and thank you always for always answering my phone call when I call.
Take off the glasses.
Yeah, thank you for always answering my phone call when I call, brother, and being a part of the journey, and that's what I'm naming it. Professor Small speaks on the journey with King Simon. Because you've been on a journey, my brother. You've been on a journey. You've been on a journey from out of South Carolina all the way to where you are and what you've been doing all throughout these years. And for my audience, who the last time we spoke, it was when we was promoting that St. Francis College event with
Right.
And of course Professor Jeffries. But and we do plan on doing some work this year. But I just for my audience, my organic audience of 7 to 8,000 people, and I don't take it lightly. I may not have 100,000 like this one and 200,000 here, but I don't take an organic audience of 8,000 people lightly, because I show them respect and I give love and honor to the ancestors. I live love and honor to the elders. I give love and honor to the youth that are coming up. Even though we see what's going on out there, I want you to just take us on a brief journey about Professor Smalls and who he is, especially coming from a South Carolina plantation. I've never been on one, so
Really?
so please tell us
it's a plantation. Well, I was born and raised on Arcadia Plantation in Georgetown County, South Carolina. That's right on the Atlantic Ocean. 60 miles south of Charleston, 40 miles, 60 miles north of Charleston, 40 miles south of Myrtle Beach. So we sit in the middle in an area that's called Paulus Island, Litchfield. But there's 4 major Black communities that's been there since the days of slavery: Simmonsville, Marysville, Parkersville, and oh Lord, one where most of my family live. We got Marysville, we got Simmonsville, we got Parkersville, and we got Frasersville. These are all Black towns in between Georgetown and Myrtle Beach. And so the plantation I grew up on was a rice plantation. It's called Arcadia. was bought
Okay.
by Isaac Emerson, the grandfather of George and Alfred Vanderbilt. After slavery, he bought it as a retreat, but he bought 7 plantations:
Yes, sir.
Rose Hill, Forlorn Hope, Clifton, Prospect Hill, Fairfield, Oak Hill, and Bannockburn. And he merged them into one called, all of those were rice plantations. And he merged them into one called Arcadia. My family moved there. My grandmother's family was enslaved. Well, they weren't enslaved. They were free laborers for the Alston family on Clifton Plantation near the Waccamaw River. My grandfather come from the Maroon community, which we called the Freewood niggas back then.
Wait a minute, Maroon community in South Carolina?
South Carolina probably had more Maroon community than anywhere except Florida. But they didn't call them Maroons because we speak English.
Right.
Maroon comes out of the Spanish word cimarron, and we use those words in the Caribbean. The anglicizing of cimarron is maroon.
And that's why I was surprised. My family is a Maroon from out of Jamaica. That's
right. And so, but here in America, we call them the Freewood, meaning that's where the Black folks went and white folks didn't come. And they didn't start coming up into the Freewood until really the late 1960s, early 70s.
Yes, sir.
And many of the Freewood communities. Well, my grandfather, Andrew Small, come out of one of those Freewood communities. His family came from 2 different ones.
Yes.
Bannockburn and Burgess. So they make me up. My great-grandfather, who was a free man on the Alston plantation in Clifton, he came from Uganda, sold into slavery as a baby, his mother and his brother. Most of the people that lived there on that plantation, well, like I said, it was 7 plantations merged into one.
Right.
So Black folks were still living there until now. And most of the people there were either Yorubas or from the area we call Sierra Leone, Mendi people. Like on my grandmother's side, I'm 100% Mendi in her DNA track. On my grandfather's side, I'm Yoruba and some Akan. On my grandmother's father's side, I'm from East Africa. And this is something we've known since we were children. My grandmother was the traditional priestess in our area, because there they call you the root lady. But she was the herbalist, the healer. She delivered all the babies. She took care of all the sick, etc. And she also belonged to the church, so they call her mother. Now, if we were in the Yoruba land, that word would be Iya.
Yes, sir.
You see? And so, but everybody call her Mother Pigeon. Pigeon meaning she was the bird. She danced, she was the dancer. Who did the traditional dance. And we carried the stuff on our head like any village in Africa when I was growing up. When I finally went to Africa, I saw fundamentally no different from those villages than the village I grew up in. Other than we spoke English, and even there they were speaking English. So from there, when I was 16, when I was about 14, we started picketing the Woolworths. So that's my first real thrust into movement. 16, for me, 14, 15, we were picketing the Strand Theater because they had segregated theaters. And by 17, we were running the white supermarkets out of the Black community. I remember when we tore Flagless down, just ripped it apart. Right? By 18, at 16, I meet Malcolm X. I come to New York in 63 because I'd seen him on television. And my mom and dad lived here in New York. They had moved up here. So my mom brought me to meet him. And we went to the temple, but he wasn't there. So we thought, well, okay, we can never catch this guy at the temple. And one day the brother said, well, he's handing out flyers down on 141st and 8th Avenue. And that happened to be the store where I was working, packing grocery bags. I mean, in those days, you had somebody to pack your bags, right? And I met him for about, talked to me for maybe 10, 15 minutes. I only remember one really advice: stay in school, because education is one of the ways we'll free our people. Planted it in my psyche. and it's still there in my psyche. And so after that conversation, all I wanted to be was Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
Right. When I returned to South Carolina that year, I wanted to do all the things I could read and hear about Malcolm X, which got me in a lot of trouble. We even had a debate in the school between me and his sister Shirley, who was Dr. King, and I was Malcolm X. This is Howard High School in Georgetown, South Carolina, fall 1963. But because of my activism, I was in the Naval Reserves. Many of us joined the Naval Reserves to make extra money to help take care of our family. That monthly paycheck was like nice. We didn't think about the fact you got to go in the military when you get out of high school, right? But I played football and I won 7 scholarships.
Right.
I took the one at Savannah State. But white folks being white folks, because of my political activities, tricked me and created some phenomena where I signed a document asking to go on active military duty the day after I graduate. And I don't realize this in like 2 weeks before, when my commander called me and says, "Didn't you say you were going to college?" I said, "Yes, I'm going to Savannah State." And he pulled out the order and said, "No, the day you graduate, you got to get on a bus for Pensacola, Florida, Naval Air Station."
Whoa.
But he was a young white man, Ray Roberts, from Boston. Very good. We became very good friends. And Ray managed to get me out of the Navy after 2 months. And I was able to go to school at Savannah State. And, you know, early because I was a football player. So I had to report to my Naval Reserve Center. Well, in my town, the Naval Reserve was integrated since 1942. But in Savannah, Georgia, I didn't know that was not the same reality. So when I showed up that night with orders in hand, my uniform shiny white, starched and pressed, knocked on the door, and somebody opened the door and said, "Nigga, what you doing here?" and slammed the door in my face. I was like, "What?" So I knocked on the door again. Mind you, I've been in the Navy over a year at this point, right? Knocked on the door again. Some officers came. I saluted them. They saluted me. I handed them my orders. They asked me, "How did I get orders here?" I said, "I'm going to college down the road at Savannah State, about a mile away, and this is my duty station." So they were panicked. They had never had a Black in the Reserve Center before. So I was integrating their racist Georgia Reserve Center. And so they go inside somewhere on the phone, I guess calling all over the country, "How did this Negro get," you know, they probably use another word, you know what I'm saying, "got these orders." And so I got jumped that night when I left that center by a bunch of white boys. They didn't hurt me bad. I put up a fight. Some of the guys, including the white ones who ran from the center, protected me, because now they had to make a difference between his being a sailor, he's one of us, versus y'all being white, being one of us.
Right.
That caused a stir in the community. So next month when I go again, there was a little ruckus, but they'd send what they call mass at arms, armed men to escort me to my bus stop. These people tried to jump me again, and a car drove by and opened fire in the crowd. But the car was driven by Black men. Nobody ever got caught. I would find out years later who they were. I won't say it even on this program. But I had to leave college after that. I left Savannah State, went back home, afraid they were coming after me for the shooting. So I demanded orders to go overseas. And a few months later, I was in Valencia, Spain. And during that 2 years of active duty in the Mediterranean and the Atlantic, I was stationed at one time at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, in Puerto Rico. Malcolm got killed while we were in France. And my brother sent me the information. And this is when I first, even while I'm in the military, we organize and we have our own brotherhood. We call ourselves the Split Brotherhood. Never knew what the word meant, but the older brothers used it. But we were organized. We were wearing our hair natural against orders and paying a fine every month. We were demanding, you know, opportunities and rights in the military that had been not granted to other Blacks in the military before us. And so I took all of the photos that my brother sent to Malcolm and I put it in a photo album. And he also sent me all of the clippings of the Kennedy assassination. This is now 65. I'd gone in the military in 64. So 2 weeks later, the document, which was something about this thick, disappeared out of my locker. And I was told by some of the guys that the CID, which is the Central Intelligence Division of the Navy, which is even more elite than your CIA, that's what Navy SEAL comes out of. Right?
Wow.
And so when I protested, nobody, of course, owed up to taking the document. I would see the document years later in a courtroom in Boston. Now I'm Malcolm X's sister Ella's bodyguard, and I'm living in Boston. Her son was arrested. I was a witness in the case. And all of a sudden, some men in suits showed up with my portfolio from the Navy and another stack of paper. Obviously, they'd been watching me since I was in Georgetown in '63. And so I remember exactly what he told the judge. He said, there's nothing this man got to say that is worth believing. So they convicted my friend because they wouldn't accept my testimony. And that was Malcolm's nephew, right? But that's just an early part of the struggle. But when I left the military, I came home. I found Malcolm's sister in the OAAU. I became a member of OAAU. And a year later, I was voted in as the Imam of the Muslim Mosque, Inc. I'm 21 years old, and I'm the Imam of what was that time one of the second most powerful Muslim organizations in the country. My teacher was a brother named Haj Hisham Jabber, who was, and my other teacher was Imam Shakur, the grandfather of Tupac, and the father of Zayd Shakur, Lamamba Shakur, the father-in-law of Asada Shakur. So those are the men who instructed me in Islam. By '74, I'm going to Mecca and making my pilgrimage. I would leave Islam shortly thereafter because what I saw of the Arab world and the racism and the anti-African abuse, I was like, this is not an African thing, you know? And so, but I worked during that period with OAU, with Muslim Mosque, with the Black Panther Party, with the Yehuda fighters, with the International Commandos. I'm not going to give any explanation for a couple of those groups because we had work to do. We did our work best we could. That was through the '60s. I went to City College in 1968, participated as one of the leaders in charge of the security during the takeover in '69, involved in the state office building occupation in summer of '69. The most beautiful thing about that period was after Garvey's organization had gone, no one ever flew a red, black, and green flag until from the 1920s.
Right.
Some people carried it as a banner, but nobody ever flew it. May 19th, 1965, the OAU flew it from the window of the Teresa Hotel to celebrate the first Malcolm X Day. It wouldn't fly again until I flew it in 1969 over City College for 2 weeks during our takeover. And then we flew another one in Harlem over the state office building site for 2 months before they went to court. Procacino, who was a city councilman, charged us for treason, went to court, got a court order to remove the flag. But every time they took it down, they folded up nice and neatly and brought it over to us because they knew it was deserving of national respect.
Right.
And so that's when we brought the red, black, and green back into the public sphere, summer 1969. I worked after I graduated City College. While I was in City College, I met this very beautiful lady. I've been with her for 51 years. We've been married for 50 of those 51 years. We've got 4 kids of our own. I had 2 kids before that gives us 6, and we adopted 2 in Africa that gives us 8. We got 24 grandkids.
But hold on one second, Bubba. You can't just breeze by that. That's because out here we having marriage and relationship issues. So I'm not gonna let you breeze by that.
No.
Your wife. I gotta talk about the beautiful empress in your life.
Yeah, Carol's got to be the strongest and the bravest woman in the world to stay with me for 51 years.
Tell us about her, please. Please tell us about her.
She was born in Aruba. Her mother is from Trinidad. Her father is from St. Martin. She came over here when she was about 8 or 9. We met at City College when she was a freshman. And we just fell in love. A year later, we were married.
Wow.
We've been together. And, marriage, like any institution, especially when you're in a criminal enterprise like America culturally,
Right.
is not an easy thing to survive. So we didn't have an easy walk as husband and wife. We done cuss each other out more than anybody I know, and threatened to leave each other more than anybody I know. But we raised our children as best we could, and we've been blessed by God and the ancestors that they have done well. They all operate as Pan-Africanists in the world that they're in. I have one that's a principal, one that's a school teacher, one that's a guidance counselor in the Black Women's Academy, one that's administrator at NYU Medical Center, where he takes care of brothers who are in prison, who come in for medical work. I've got one that's an artist in the music industry, where she has her own music promotion thing. She manages Wycliffe John.
Oh, wow.
That's my eldest. And then I have one who's a chef. And it's very Pan-African because Onika, my second daughter, mom's a Puerto Rican, so she's the Spanish speaker in the country, in the family. Sister Betsy, my youngest son's wife, she's from Dominican Republic, so she's the other Spanish speaking in the family. My wife is from the English speaking Caribbean, and I'm from the, so we got a whole Pan-African thing going on in the house, you know what I'm saying? And the oldest one is managing a top Haitian artist, Wycliffe John, who's like a son to me.
Yes.
So
how long has she been managing Wycliffe?
Wow, it's been almost a decade. Ever since he came back from running for president, I think a year later, Maddie took over as his manager.
I've heard her name when I was inside the music industry back
then. Yeah, you probably know her name is Madeline Nelson. She's a force to reckon with. She was a vice president at Sony for about 10 years.
Yes.
She left Sony because of the racism and the lack of opportunity for Blacks, and she took them on. And then she
that was
went
your
up.
Daughter. That's your daughter. Wow.
Yeah, that's Maddie. Wow. She like her daddy. She used to be president of Little Man Record, which was Teddy Riley and Blackstreet.
Right.
So, she's done well, and she stayed on the Black side of things because she's my daughter, because it couldn't be any other way. I have an adopted daughter in Ghana, Barbara, who's a member of Parliament and a deputy minister for land and resources for the nation of Ghana. And then I have adopted son, her brother Junior, who teaches at one of the universities there.
Those that are just tuning in, because we're also on Facebook and on YouTube, they shut down. I want to let everybody know they shut down my live chat because there's been some changes on YouTube. But those that want to send a question to Baba through Facebook, you're more than welcome to do that. Big up to Osiris Bay and a few other people that's tuning in. Zakia Taliba and a few other people that's been tuning in. Rashida, big up to you. Now, what's so interesting? You've been a professor for how long at City College? How long were you a professor?
I was 18 years.
18 years.
I'm one of the founders of the Black Studies Department at City College. Working with Charles Hamilton and Harold Cruz. And we brought Dr. Jeffries there to take over that department that we created.
Yes.
I was also an administrator running the student union for 16 years. That meant I managed the theater, 3 restaurants, the ballroom, the conference rooms. More than they hated Black Studies, they hated me for this because I had a budget of $2 million. Imagine me having a budget of $2 million, giving all these Black folks jobs. No, wow, man. They fought harder to get me out of there than they fought to get the Dr. J out of Black Studies, But we did our thing. We got tens of thousands of our babies through that college that would not have gotten to college otherwise. Once they even attempted to bring me up on charges because they said I gave too many A's and B's. So I increased the A's after that,
So I mean, what kind of charges would they have brought you on? You being bought out or something?
This dude, they tried that. They offered me money, brother. They offered me, they came to me once to, for small, we know you don't have a master's or a PhD. I said, so what? I built the program. So they said, look, we're going to give you a master's and a PhD, but we just want you to leave City College and give up control over that $2 million and the student union, right? and they said, we know your wife is going to med school. We know you got 4 kids you're struggling with. We know your income is low. They had all of the 411 on me. So I pretended I'm going along with it. And then at the end of it, I said, what's going to happen when you, and they said, oh, we're going to give you a 6-figure job at another college. We just want you out of here. And so I said, okay, this is a time when I was coming home like $15,000 a year, trying to feed the family, Carol's in school, trying to keep, the rent paid and stuff. So I said, what's going to happen? Somebody going to drop a dime on a newspaper the minute I get to be active? They said, oh, no. We're going to sit somebody in the classroom. This is the head of the Alumni Association, Cy Weissman at City College of New York. We're going to sit somebody in the classroom to earn the degrees for you in real time.
Wow.
But you got to leave here. So when I told him, like, nah, I can't take that. He called me the N-word, but he had 3 or 4 other dudes in there with him who looked more like Mossad than anything else.
Yes.
And I made the mistake to do what I don't usually do, go to a meeting by myself that day. And so he asked me, what the hell do you want? I told him, I want the same thing for my people that you want for your people. Now you give me that, I'll leave without any money. But if you can't give me that, I'm going to stay here to ensure that we get some of what we need for our people that you are getting for your people. And so I stayed at City for those nearly 20 years, work under Dr. Leonard Jeffries, my big brother, in Black Studies for all those years. He taught me so much about how to teach Black people and what to teach Black people and how to understand Africa, African America, politics, economic culture. But during that same period of time, going back to 1967, I met a sister, who Mama KK. And Mama KK was a Yemaya priestess in the Yoruba community in Harlem under Baba Surgeman. And that's when I met also Baba Jojo, Kwajo. I met Nana Benny Zulu because they were Malcolm's friend. So I came under the tutelage. Even though I was a Muslim, I was under the tutelage of the Yoruba king and the Akan king. And so I studied with Nana Kamanti Deni Zulu until his death, working those shrines. One of the most beautiful work I've ever had, working a shrine 2-3 days and sisters bringing you a little food to keep you going while you're doing the work. And you won't understand this unless you're a priest, what that work was and what it could be. Working with Baba Surgeman, Chief Ajamu, I'm initiated to the Yoruba shrine in Trinidad, in the area called Shagwanas Enterprise Village, and the Kenny Cyrus Ile Ejube, under Mother Joan Cyrus, who just moved to the ancestors a year ago. And I'm also, my shrine has roots in Grenada, in Caracou, where I've been to celebrate there. I was very involved with Emancipation Day in Trinidad for years, with Kefra Cambone, with Daga, with my sister Aintu Springer, who I spoke to last week, who's the poet laureate of Trinidad. My work in Ghana, Dr. Jeffries introduced me in Ghana in 1982. And I've been going there every year, multiple times since then. Me, Dr. Jeffries, and 80 people will say, you own a hotel. No, I don't own a hotel. I'm the CEO of a hotel project that's owned by 80 African Americans. And African Caribbeans and Africans on the continent. We created a Pan-African phenomenon that has lasted 15 years. We only had to ask 2 people to leave and bought them out. And we've been able to work together in good times and bad times to keep this project going. And so we're one of the largest diasporan business in Ghana today.
And it's still up and running, right? Still up and running.
Yeah, well, right now we're closed. We're getting ready to go in renovation, hoping we'll be up and running by May with the work that has to be done.
We definitely want to talk about how we can donate to that, how people can donate to that.
Yes,
maybe
sir.
through Cash
So
App.
that's
Okay.
just kind of some of what I've done. I've worked with the Panther Party with Zaid Secor. Most people don't know who Zaid Secor was. I talk about him a lot. But
Right.
that's the husband of Assata Shakur. That was my best friend. That's who got killed on the turnpike that day when Assata got shot and arrested. He was the brother, his big brother was Lumumba Shakur. He was the one married to Afeni Shakur. The baby brother is Matula Shakur, who was the head of the Black Panther Party, meaning the Black Liberation Army, who is still incarcerated. All these brothers was in the Muslim mosque before they went to the Black Panther Party. These are the children of Imam Shakur out of Elizabeth, New Jersey, and the mosque under Haji Sam Jabba.
I know you agree, but when are you gonna write your book, sir?
Yeah, I'm actually considering it. I wish I could turn off that pink thing, but I don't know how to do that.
Turn off the what?
Something. Maybe you don't hear it, so that's good.
No, I don't hear it. No,
okay.
I don't hear it.
No, I've been out here a long time. You know, I worked with Dr. Ben from 1966 until he left. I performed his funeral rites.
I was there.
Because I was and is the chosen priest of the craft of Amun-Ra and the Shrine of Funefa for the Western Hemisphere. That requires some explanation down the road for people to understand. It's something called the craft. It's the wisdom system of ancient Egypt.
Yes.
There's some of us still trying to keep it alive here in this country. But my whole life has just been struggle. It's not been, I don't like the word struggle. My whole life has been fighting in the resistance. Fighting in the resistance.
Right.
And until our whole people are free, which is not going to come in our lifetime, the main task of every Black man or woman should be fighting in the resistance in whatever way you can. All of us cannot do the same thing. All of us don't have the same skills. But wherever you are and whatever you could do, you should be a part of the resistance.
That's right.
In order to bring freedom to our whole people in time.
Now, those that are just tuning in, if y'all see who was here, you got the Bible from, of course, Hidden Colors. You've seen them on Hidden Colors. Those that have been your students, they probably tuning in or will watch this as far as it goes down the line. But let me take you a little bit back now, because right now, today happens to be Martin Luther King Jr.'s 91st birthday. He would have been 91 today.
Wow. Happy birthday, Doc. You know, you were a great African leader.
That's what
and our people are just learning because the enemy had kept you from us using his press and his books. And you're just being unfolded to us as the great African leader you were. And I try to tell all people to, I'm saying goodnight to my grandbabies as they're going upstairs.
Okay.
There's a speech you should read that Doc wrote in 1957 when he returned to the country from Ghana after being with Nkrumah for Nkrumah's inauguration. And it's called The Birth of a New Nation. You can find it on YouTube, I think. The Birth of a New Nation by Dr. Martin Luther King. You swear that's Malcolm X. And this is Doc in 1957. So they managed to hide him from us with that I have a dream psychological technology.
Right.
But now with the internet and YouTube, we can discover the real Dr. Martin Luther King and see the revolutionary phenomena that this brother was. Remember the night when he gave the speech, "My eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen the promised land. I won't get there with you," and stuff. They stopped it right there, right?
Right.
But had they gone backwards before he reached his closing line, he would have said, what we need to do, he said, we need to move our money out of the white banks and put it in the Black banks and the Black credit union. He said, we need to boycott Coca-Cola and Wonder Bread. And this is the Doc they hid by giving us something to listen to that sound good. So we didn't look at the rest of the speech and saw the instructions.
Right.
You know, which would have been considered nationalism by anybody's vision. And so discover Dr. King, look up his speeches, read them for yourself, read his book, and you'll say, oh my God, this is not the man they've been giving us for years.
Right, that's right. There was a book that I bought from him called Chaos in the Community, Here and Now. That was a good book also, man.
Yes.
They really
even the speech they call the I Have a Dream speech, Read that speech. The speech was about reparations.
Mm.
And he told the cracker, said, you've given us a check that has come back insufficient fund. And he was saying, you've given us a check for the years of holding us in slavery where we worked for nothing. Read that speech. That I Have a Dream, which is the last paragraph, is not even in the written speech. He ad-libbed that because Mahalia Jackson had heard him do that in a sermon a few weeks before, and she was behind him saying, Martin, do the I Have a Dream thing. And so he just ad-libbed that onto the end of his speech. But read the real speech, and you'll see why they never wanted you to hear it.
That's right. I got to shout out one of my dearest friends for over 30 years. She says she loved you and Professor Jeffries. That's the reason why she chose her undergraduate major. She became she took teaching. She became a teacher. I mean, she also had a principal's license and everything. Good friend of mine.
Well, congratulations, black man.
No, the black woman, Katrina.
Black woman, even better. Congratulations, Queen. And at this stage, you're a goddess now.
Yes.
And so you learn from seeing the conditions of our people. If they're gonna get saved, we have to save them.
That's right.
Ain't no God gonna drop down from the sky. Ain't no Orisha gonna run out the bushes. Okay? Ain't no Loa gonna come flying in those spaceships. We are the Loas. We are the Orishas. We are the Metas.
Exactly.
And those who've been in education, especially dealing at that level of principalship, know the war they're waging against our children. So God bless you, sister.
I'm so happy that she's done it. I've known her for so many years, and I think she's been in school all her life. The way she loved to learn, she just loved to learn.
And that it's a lifelong thing. You got to keep getting new skill.
Yes.
Because the enemy is sharp. You got to always stay sharper.
Now, just recently, at the beginning of this year, Dr. Ben would have been 102, and then Dr. Clark was the next day. He would have been 105. Just take us briefly into a classroom with Dr. Ben first, and then Dr. Clark. I know it can't be.
First, I got to tell you how I met Dr. Ben.
Yes, please.
He came into my mosque when I was an imam in '67. Him and Professor Simmons on Malcolm X's birthday. And he started beating up on Islam. So I had him thrown out. I had a security throw Doc out and throw Professor Simmons out. I didn't know who this man was. I threw Doc out of my mouth. So a year later, I was liking this beautiful young lady, Georgette, who was going to Harlem Prep.
Right.
And I would go at the door and I'd wait for Georgette. And I was listening to Doc like this. I couldn't see his face, right? This is a bad dude. He's teaching about Kemet and all this stuff. I go like, wow. One day a hand reached around the corner, grabbed me in my little, how short Doc was, right? I'm 6'2", right? He reaches up there, grabbed me in my lapel, pulls me in the classroom, asks me, what you doing at my door? I go like, oh Lord, this is the man I threw out of the mosque. And I'm sitting there listening to him every day and didn't know who he was. From then on, we were like father and son, right? Until the day he passed. I was with him up until about an hour before he passed. And the last word he said to me, I was holding his hand. He said, Brother Small, he said, don't let me fall. And I told him, Doc, I will not let you fall. But when you think of Dr. Ben as a teacher, Dr. Ben is Ethiopian by ethnicity. His mom was Puerto Rican. So he was Ethiopian and African Latino. And he was raised in the Caribbean. He was raised in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Right. And he brought us something no one else could bring us except someone coming from being a Hebrew Israelite by birth from Ethiopia, married into the African Taino family of Puerto Rico, and being raised into that Africanness of the Virgin Islands. Right. And then coming to North America as a young man. He was able to, he had multiple degrees. The man wrote, 50 books, all of them worth reading. And he wrote for the people, deliberately, grammatically, artistically. He wrote so that the most common man and woman could understand what he was trying to tell us about the history of ancient Kemet,
Right.
who the ancient people of ancient Kemet were, and what our role should be in the world today.
Right.
Um, and to tie that in, to tie Kemet in with the rest of Africa. That's what his thing, the craft, was about. To show
Okay.
that no matter where we were in Africa, there was a brotherhood and a sisterhood carrying the wisdom. And the wisdom is not some slick secret that we're supposed to have and the rest of the people are not supposed to have. The way
Right.
Doc taught me, we were the carriers of the wisdom to be servant to those who didn't have the wisdom. And that word
Right.
servant is very important because he
Servant.
considered himself a servant to his people. He didn't make
Right.
no money. He died poor. He had not a penny, you know. He considered himself his whole life. He could have been a very, very wealthy man, but he chose to be a servant of his people, to bring them the knowledge and the wisdom of ancient Kemet and other ancient African civilization and show them how to bridge it into today.
Right.
And all of the people we see, all of the internet now, Kemet, without
Yeah.
Dr. Ben, none of you would have existed. You know, Dr. Clark comes from the South, a sharecropping family in the poorest part of Alabama. He came to this city as a young man. He got involved in the movement, the political movement, first on the Marxist side of it. Then he came over to the African nationalist and nationalist side of it. He's one of the greatest historians I've ever known. He had a memory that was so fantastic. You would swear he was back there in time. I mean, one day Dr. Clark was giving a lecture about Zulu, and there's nobody called Shaka Zulu. There's there's Shaka, king of the Zulus. Matter of fact, to say Shaka Zulu is a disrespect. That's white folks doing that. He was Shaka, king of the Zulu nation in the southern part of Africa. And so Doc was telling this story about King Shaka. And he says Shaka was in the kitchen with his mama. And he was having a conversation. And Shaka said something wrong. And Doc said, I saw when his mama put a hand on her jaw. I was like, wait a minute. You weren't there. How did you see mama? But he had a way of transposing his spirit through time and space in terms of how he understood the wisdom of our history.
Right.
And then he could teach us the facts and details of that history, because I think spiritually he went back into time and space, into that history.
Right. Right.
And a lot of times, I know it's hard sometimes when you say things like that, but people should always remember we're nothing but matter and energy. And we're connected to the universe. And if you look at any African language, their word for the God Almighty or the divine means the totality of the universe, or the totality of creation, or all things at once. And so if you understand that concept, then you understand going back through time is not a problem.
Right.
If you're formulated correctly.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so Dr. Ben taught us our ancient civilization. Dr. Clark brought us from the ancient civilization to our contemporary history and taught us the value of loving our ancestors, the value of learning from our ancestors. We've been trying Marxism. We've tried Leninism, Bolshevism, Maoism, capitalism, and all of this crap.
Right.
And our situation is the same. The problem is we need to get into some serious African ancestralism.
Yes, sir.
And see, what is it that they had before these devils rudely interrupted us? How did they consider a family to be? What did they consider marriage to be? What did they consider relationship between a man and a woman to be? What was their concept of a household? What was their concept of a village? What was their concept of a community? What was their concept of a nation? And what ideological principles they used and lived by to knit all of this together?
Yes.
You know, what was the role of economic in their society? What was the role of politics in their society? What was the role of culture in their society? How and what relationship did they have to land and land distribution? Or how labor were issued out in the community? we could talk about how other people see this, how the Marxists see it, how the capitalists see it. How did our ancestors see it? Did they see it differently? And what value and how they see it can we borrow to use in our today's world to organize ourselves economically, politically, and culturally? Because at the bottom line of all of this struggling and dialogue and talking about history and all of this is, can we provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security for ourselves and our family? That's bottom line.
That's bottom line.
You can do anything else you want, but if you can't do this, we're in trouble. Wherever we're in trouble, it's because we can't do this.
Now, how do you feel about what's going on, transpiring about West Africa, Kemet, and all this stuff going on? People arguing about Africa. I mean, why people arguing?
Those people are few, and in the scheme of things, are probably insignificant to what's really going on. Okay. Right now, East Africa had formed an East African economic group some years ago, which is allowing them to really work together well. Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya, and I think there's one other nation in there.
Right.
West Africa has now got on board. They always had the ECOWAS, the West African community, but now they're trying to come up with a singular currency for that community. The argument is now just what is the relationship that currency going to be to the euro? And so they're trying to work those details out. 22 African nations in the African Union voted a few months ago to create a singular African trade union, which means no single state will be cutting these trade deals that's taking all our wealth away from the continent. The collective will deal with what commodity, what resources will come out of this continent, and what the trade arrangements will look like with America, Europe, Australia, whatever. Okay, that's a big footprint forward right now. So Pan-Africanism is growing by leaps and bounds, but it doesn't look pretty, and it isn't going to come easy, because the white man has cut us up into, what, 52 mini nations, and got us dealing with false borders. So there's all kinds of discussions now. You know, most African countries, you don't need, if you're from one African country, you can go into the other and you don't need a passport or a visa. That's a big step forward. The eradication of the borders will come when they get to the point where they have created the African Union that have a singular leadership, however they structure it collectively. But we can see that these things are happening. We know that CARICOM in the Caribbean, and there could be a lot of criticism of CARICOM, but CARICOM has done some good things to pull the Caribbean nations together. They've done some good things to use CARICOM to hook up with the African nation and the African Union. So for those of us who are out here doing pitter-patter because we just realized we're Africans, need to study what's going on in the African political world of the Caribbean, the African political world of the continent, the African political world of the Pacific Islanders, because we have to get closer to them. And some of that is beginning to happen, where African nations are now recognized, Pacific nations, as being African nations. I'm supposed to be this month, but I'm unable to go, in the Mauritius Island, which is a couple of, I guess, about 1,000 miles east of Madagascar. And these brothers and sisters was taken there in the enslavement period during the Arab enslavement process. And on February 1st, they celebrate what they call Freedom from Slavery Days. And they're trying now to have the Mauritius be recognized as an African nation. So people are struggling all around the world around this question of Pan-Africanism and Pan-African unity around things economic, political, and cultural. We have the setbacks. We still got some corrupt leaders. They're no more corrupt than none of these crackers over here in Europe. But any corruption is bad when our people well-being is at stake. And we see the working forward. You know, we saw what our father Mugabe was able to do at the helm, along with his party. Wow, I didn't bring any water with me, but I'll survive. I'm cool. ZANU-PF, you know, and they took on the West. Even though the press over here don't tell us what's really going on, I advise our people, go on that computer. You can read the newspapers written by Africans in any African nation. Go on the computer. You can listen to the radio show, of any African nation on your computer. You just go to like ghanagovernment.gov or ghana.gov, zimbabwe.gov, and go into the country. You can look at what's going on. You can do a lot of studying without being able to spend money and go there that we don't have. Then study where we are. Listen to the radio shows. Hear the people in those lands talk about what's going on in those lands. Read the newspapers online from any African nation you want to, and see what they're talking about as they're talking about themselves. Look at the school system. See what's going on in the schools in the country. See what's going on with the economies in the country. And some of the foolishness that we hear from people who are just coming into information, arguing back and forth. Kemet is just a place in Africa. Right now is run by crackers. It's run by Arab invaders who committed genocide and ethnic cleansing for hundreds of years against our ancestors. And many of our people, millions of our people still live in southern Kemet. They're called the Nubians. But those are the original inhabitants of the Nile Valley, Kemet. But right now, Kemet is not run by us. But our ancestors left in stone a history and a body of wisdom that we can learn and learn to use in today's world. Because if you can't take that wisdom, and that's the sacred science, and adapt it to what's happening on 125th Street and 7th Avenue, today it's useless.
It's a waste of time. Right.
It's useless. If you can't take the orishas of the Yoruba religion, don't just come up to me and go Odabo or Lafia. You tell me how knowing about the orishas is going to help me in Bed-Stuy as I'm trying to put some housing together under community control. I can show you how the orishas can help you do that. But that should be the lesson. Ancestors didn't leave these things for us to exalt in. They left them as tools for us to bring into the 21st century and put the work on our behalf.
That's right.
So study the history, study the culture, but get the fundamental principles, learn the fundamental science, get the fundamental tools of character building. Because if you can't build your character, how can you tell me how to build my character?
Thank you. Thank you.
When we talk about building character, we talk about you're God. All of our culture says this. They don't say it in the same words I do, but what I get from the culture is that we're God having a human experience called us. Each one of us is an expression of an aspect of the divine essence having the human experience. Our body is the temple where all of that live. It is housed here. That's why we got to deal with optimal health, to keep the body at optimal health, so that energy we call the spirit can be at optimal health and do the work, or get the body to do the work you were sent here to do.
That's it.
We got to make it practical. We put this all, we go into the Zoom and super mysteries and the fantasies. That's not what our tradition is about. Our tradition is about practical application of the sacred science and the wisdom of the universe and nature, the ecology, to our daily lives. So that we'll be able to provide food, clothing, shelter, and safety, so that we can learn how to be in control of economic, politics, and culture, how we can learn how to take charge of land, labor, and resources where we live. That's how you build a nation.
That's right. Now somebody asked a question in the Facebook, and I just want to say, I know people are hitting me up on YouTube. My chat has been disabled because of some changes that they're making. So I guess I have to change certain settings, and I'll take care of that in a couple of days. But people are sending a question, and I think it's Tahir that put a question. How important are other spiritual roles in your life, and how to accept / understand their roles in your life? I think you just basically explained that.
Yeah, well,
those type of
first you got to know you. Throughout our history, our ancestors said, know thyself. Know what your spiritual system instructs you to do. And then you'll know how to use other systems, most of which evolve out of our system in the first place. You'll know how to use them. There was a time our people used Christianity in a way, it was a liberating element. Now Christianity has become an enslaving element. There was a time in West Africa we used Islam as a liberating element. Now Islam has become an enslaving, a mental enslaving element. And if we understand that those traditions we were forced into or adopted after having left home, those of us in the diaspora, if we understand that we have a system by which we can set the standards, the measures the others by. So you need to learn and study African spiritual systems. I don't call them religions because we didn't have religion. We had a sacred science that was our ideology and our culture. And it taught us how to use our ecology and how to master the knowledge of the cosmology and know the relationship between the two. And then adapt that to you, the third party, the human being, and how you create and survive in your daily life. You know, let me just show you, and I tell people this one a lot. I'm a priest of the Yoruba tradition. I'm a priest, I'm not a Babalao, I'm a Babalarisha. I'm a priest of Oya. Oya is said to be the wind and the guardian of the gates to the cemetery. But the cemetery is simply a symbol for ancestry. So Oya is a guardian to the realm of the wisdom of the ancestors. We got to interpret stuff, all right? And she represents the fundamental concept of change in process. So in the allegorical story of Oya, they have her marrying Shango and Ogun. And sisters like that because, oh, polyandry, okay, the sisters could do it too, since you brothers want to do some polygamy. We got y'all. It's in the history, right? It's in the culture. But in the metaphor, when she marries Shango, Shango represents the courage to change yourself in dynamic spiritual ways to be a higher being. But that can't happen unless the courage and the desire for change marry Oya, change. And now that the courage and the dynamics for wanting change have married change, change must marry transformation. That's Ogun. You understand? So it isn't just a story about Oya and Oya the goddess and Ogun and he's the god of iron and war. No, find out what the real meaning of these metaphorical symbols are, and you'll see the wisdom lesson in them for developing yourself and your family and your community. So Shango, the courage and desire for change, marries Oya, change and process, who then marries Ogun, transformation as a result of change. And that type of teaching is in all of the Loas, it's in all of the Orishas, it's in all of the Abosom, it is in all of the Neterus. And you and I, King, we were in Islam, and it's in there as well. It's called the 99 Pearls of Faith. The 99 Pearls of Faith is 99 Orishas. They could try to hide it all they want. Brother Small know what it is, okay? So stop playing, right? Teach the people the truth.
That's right.
It's always the 99 names of Allah. Well, what do they mean? And what do they represent in the development of the human character, the human personality, the human family, the human community as an instructive instrument for growth?
That's right. That's right. Now, Baba, before I let you go,
I didn't mean to go all over there, but
no, that's brother. This is the journey. This is the journey. I like the journey. I like the journey. Although your journey needs to be written and put out there and just left for the rest of the years. And but you know, the biggest stir that I've been seeing on social media, and it involves you in a small way because you was the consultant.
I just saw it tonight. That's for Tariq's conference in June.
No, not that
one.
There's
something else going on.
There's something, yeah, not that one. Not that. Okay. I'm not getting into that one. No, I'm leaving that one. the one that I just recently sat down and watched that movie, because everybody's taking it like it's a documentary.
Godfather of Harlem.
Yes, so
I'm the one that made it look like a documentary because it was never intended to look like that.
And if people, and I want to let people know, if people watch it carefully and look at the credit, his name is there as a consultant.
I'm the primary consultant, really the only consultant.
The only consultant.
There
Now,
was one Latino brother who was a consultant on the Latino piece of it.
right.
But I was the primary consultant, but that doesn't mean they listened to everything I said.
Exactly.
But if you look at it, you can see I got a good piece of my footprint up in there, you know.
Yes, sir.
And the path they took, you know, to wed historical characters who were real in Bumpy's life,
right,
in the fictitious story of Bumpy. And it's not so fictitious. A lot of it, I would say 50% of it was history.
Right.
At least 50% was history.
Did he ever know Malcolm for real?
That was his friend. Malcolm went to his house every Sunday and played chess.
But some people are saying he didn't.
Well, some people don't know history.
Okay.
The document we're working from
right.
is the book written by Bumpy's granddaughter, Margaret. And Margaret was still living in the same apartment Bumpy was living in when he died. When she died a year ago, well, almost 2 years ago now, Margaret died. But she was with us in the starting of the project. But she died a year after we were into the project.
Right.
And she's the one that said Malcolm came by almost every Sunday to play chess with Bumpy.
Okay.
And they had their dealings in other ways, but she never told us what those dealings were. But they were friends. If you were in the streets, and let people understand, let me be very clear.
Yes, sir.
People know me as Professor Small.
That's right.
But I wasn't just Professor Small. I was in those streets.
Yes, sir.
My mentor is a brother called Sunni Malik. And another brother called Abubadika Sonny Carson. Sonny had Brooklyn. Sunni Malik had Harlem. Sunni Malik was one of the brothers that Bumpy Johnson assigned to watch Malcolm after Malcolm was out of the Navy. 2 weeks before Malcolm's death, Sunni was arrested along with one other Muslim brother. They were never in the nation. These were Sunni Muslim brothers, right? Who were gangsters. The feds snatched him off the street 2 weeks before Malcolm's death, sent him to the Atlanta Federal Pen without charges, and released them 2 weeks after Malcolm's death. What did that tell you?
Of course.
Now, Sunni when I became the Imam, Sunni became my protector and bodyguard. But Sunni was a hitman for the mob, our mob. So people say, you proud of that? No, I'm not proud of what Sunni did on occasion in the earlier part of his life. But he was also a Black nationalist all of his life and a Pan-Africanist all of his life. And he taught me the streets of Harlem.
Yes.
I was a bodyguard to Adam Powell under the tutelage of Sunni Malik. So I knew all of these people in that movie.
Right.
Okay. And so, and I was in the life to some degree of all of them.
Yes, sir.
You know, I met Bumpy Johnson. I don't know whether you were in the streets. My sister was Vivian. Vivian was the biggest barmaid in Harlem. She worked at everything from the Casablanca to Paris Blues to the big one that was on 125th Street on the corner at the Rennie Lounge. And when she worked the Rennie, Bumpy wouldn't let nobody else serve her when he came to Rennie but Vivian. So that's how I met Bumpy Johnson 3 times. I was so involved in the street, right? That City College, when me and Doc was there, for most about 20 years, was drug-free because me and a brother named Ed Evans went and sat down with Miss Ola. I'm gonna say who Miss Ola's business was. And then we got to meet with Nikki Barnes and cut a deal. That if you give us the kids that get past the arts at City College, we'll leave you alone in the street. And Nikki Barnes kept his word. Any drug dealing caught on the campus, we turn over to him, and we only had to turn over 2 guys, and nobody else dealt drug at City College anymore.
Now, with Nikki Barnes now, I heard they're about to do something about him too. Are you going to be involved with that or no?
No, I heard some rumbling, but I don't know anything about that. But, you know, Nikki and I had such a peculiar relationship, and I could put it out there. Yes. One day, one of his bodyguards slapped Sister Viv, my sister. But Sister Viv is my sister. She ain't gonna take no shit. So she took a Harvey's. You know how thick that Harvey's bottle is?
Yes.
She was the barmaid and knocked the dude out. So I'm sitting in my office one day at City College, and secretary said, "But Small, you got some business?" Well, it's 5:30. I said, "No, I ain't got nobody in my book." She said, "Yeah, there's 4 men here." I said, "Well, who are they?" So she called back and said, "Well, one of them name is Joe Steele." Well, I know right away. That's Nikki Barnes' boy from the Empire Bar, all right, who ran both the numbers and the drugs up there. So I know they coming packing. I don't know why they're at my office, but I always carried my pet with me. So I slid the drawer open, took the pet out, set the pet in my lap, and they walked in the door. I said, Joe, put your hands up. He go, oh, James, you always talk. I said, no, brother, I know y'all. I don't know why y'all up in here. He said, well, Nikki sent us, man. Nikki don't want you to kill, or maybe I shouldn't use the word. Nikki don't want you to harm so-and-so and so-and-so.
Yeah.
And if you leave this thing alone, he gonna handle it. That's all right. What is it about? Then they tell me the thing about the boy slapping Viv knocking him out, and the boy now threatened to kill my sister. So they thought I knew about it, but I knew nothing about it. You know, sister hadn't told me anything. So I left it to Nikki. He handled it.
Right.
Not because it had anything to do with me.
Of course.
The boy made a mistake. Nikki went to jail, left him in charge of the lady. You know what the fool did.
Right.
And so he had to save face. So he thought I might do something. So he had to stop me so he could do something. I just wanted to let people understand I was in the street like that.
Yes, sir. That's right.
I was at the party of Paul Castellano, the wedding of Paul Castellano's son, Tony, being presided over by Carlo Gambino.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Just in that my mother worked at a white beauty shop.
Yes, sir.
And she had trained this beautiful young lady who married this beautiful young man. And so there were 3 Black people invited at this extraordinary wedding.
Yes,
and
sir.
The old man liked me. And we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm not just somebody from a college campus.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Different dimensions. I lived in the streets of Harlem. I picketed in the streets of Harlem. I rioted in the streets of Harlem. I did what I had to do. I was in those streets with my brothers, with my sisters, from the Panther Party to whomever else was doing whatever they had to do. That's how I spent my life. I thought that's where my life would be spent. I never thought I'd live to be 74. You know, I didn't think I'd live to be 24. Shocked when I made 30. Here I'm at 74. And I got a lot of beautiful stories about a lot of young Black heroes and heroines who nobody ever knew their names and probably will never know their names. I had a sister call me last week, hadn't seen me since 1968, found my number online and said, I thought you were gone. I said, no, I'm still here. And she reminded me of the days, me, her, and Jamal, and we were all youngsters then, how we were in those streets doing what we were doing, trying to help our people. And one thing back in the 60s, what people need to understand, the only refuge the Black nationalists had is with the Black gangsters.
Yes, sir.
They gave us cover. So there wasn't a great separation like you might think. So Malcolm and a Bumpy being friends would have been a normalcy for that time, you know. And Malcolm did speak at Adam Clayton Powell's church. Now, maybe Bumpy didn't arrange it, you know, that part is fictionist. But Malcolm spoke at the church, and you could find the tape of Malcolm at Abyssinia Baptist, and the title of the speech, When the Good Shepherd Comes, will he mix his sheep with goats? When you integrationists is trying to mix his sheep with wolves, you know. That's a real speech, and he made it. And Adam had him at his church to make it. So Malcolm and Adam was very close friends as well. So what we did in this movie, when I helped to get them to do, I don't want to take more credit than I deserve, because there were so many other beautiful people, like Brother Mark, who brought the script to them for Sister Margaret. Brother Paul, who's one of the writers, Chris Brancato, who really gave me a lot of leeway. He sent all of his script here to this house for me to read before going forward. And I can't even say enough about Forrest Whitaker as a Black man of stature and note. This brother got a refugee camp in Uganda. He's got one in Southern Sudan. He's got one in Mexico. He's opening one for the Black people in Colombia. He's got a program in South Central LA school system on Black youth leadership. And people don't even know he does this stuff.
Wow. And nobody really needs to know, because sometimes you got to do it just behind the scenes.
You know, the world knows because he raised his money for his project and so forth. But I want our people to know.
No, that's right.
So when you saw that Black man in that movie, part of it was acting and part of it was who he was. You know, and Bumpy Johnson as a character was real. The people of Harlem thought of him like Robin Hood. Because there was no banks for us to go to. You went to Mr. Bumpy to borrow money to buy your car. You went to Mr. Bumpy to pay your rent. You went to Mr. Bumpy to get a mortgage.
Yeah.
You went to Mr. Matter of fact, one of the writers on this piece, one of the brothers who's the writer, Bumpy sent his grandma to college.
Whoa.
That's what made this thing so sensitive, because a lot of people had personal stakes in it, right? And so we produced something that had a blacker hue to it than most movies that come out of white Hollywood. This is not made by Black folks. This is coming out of white Hollywood.
Right.
But we had a chance to put some fingerprints on
it. But Baba, what would you say to the young gangsters that might watch this? Because there's still brothers on the street, and there's still brothers in the Nation Islam that watches this. There's still people in different organizations. What would you say to them?
The one thing I say to brothers and sisters who may be in the underworld, that's not something to aspire to be.
No, I understand.
Our people then end up there because that's where they were forced to be.
Right.
Today, we have some other options, even though some of our youngsters, because of the miseducation, don't have options. But look at some of the other options we've created for you. Right. The access to training to get skills and tool and working in any little technical areas in the community. The access we've given you to get into our college that my generation didn't have, to get other kinds of skills and training. The access that the bills that Adam Powell got passed. You know, Adam Powell was the one who passed the bill, that student aid bill. That was Adam Powell. Adam Powell passed the first minimum wage bill of any significance. Adam Powell, the right to work bill. Adam Powell, the most positive immigration bill.
Right.
He passed more bills than any other person in the history of the U.S. Congress.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so I tell our young people to look at, for the brothers and sisters in the nation, those of us who were there on that set, we did the best we could to portray our nation in as positive way as we could.
Yes.
And we think we did a good job to some degree. You know, it wasn't easy now. We had to bump some heads. Some people tried to kick a little brother up out of there a few more than a few times, you know what I'm saying? And they always told me, Small, this is not a documentary. This is a movie. I go, like, I know that. But you're going to use my spiritual leader. You're going to use one of my sacred leaders and my icon. Then you got to portray them with the dignity they deserve.
Right.
And one of the things that I wanted to see, that young people should see the nation in a different way than they get to see them in the white press.
Right.
That to see the nation as a servant in our community. No, it wasn't the actual facts, but we portray them as a defender of the community and a servant in the community. And that's an image I wanted to get into young people's head, because I happen to think the nation is one of the greatest organizations we've ever built. And the messenger is one of the greatest leaders we've ever had. And it's sad that our people don't have access to studying the messenger. You know, so I tell everybody, read Message to the Black Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I read it all the time. I bought copies for all my children years ago.
Yes, now, what's so funny, Baba, the East Coast representative is on Facebook. I sent them to the YouTube to watch. Minister Abdul Hafiz Muhammad is on Facebook watching us.
That's my little brother.
I know he's your little brother. He's the one that married my second wife and I back in the day. So that was his first marriage, I understood.
Wow.
In those days.
Well, Salam alaikum, sir.
Hafiz, Minister Hafiz.
What I tried to push when I saw what they had in the movie, I wanted to push the nation in a way people could realize we missed something. We have something in our community that we're not learning from, because the white man diss it, we diss it. Because the white man marginalized it, we marginalize it. And my point is, we never would have gotten to Malcolm X without the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So if you understand that, that should open your minds up to seeing some other things. You know, it's like Booker Washington. They try to pit the Honorable Marcus Garvey in our minds against Booker Washington, yet they were the best of friends. They were brothers. Booker invited Marcus here. Marcus came to be with his brother, who died a few months before he got here. So a movie is a movie, but whenever we get a chance to alter it to whatever degree we can, to give a positive image of our people and our things as we can, we should take that opportunity in any venue we find ourselves in. Now, whether they'll bring me back if they do number 2, maybe not, because I fought with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I irritated a lot of people. But I took half my library down there. You know what I'm saying? My primary job was to tell them the history of Harlem, but I went beyond that, and I think I had some impact. But I was covered by Forrest Whitaker, who covered my back all the way when people tried to jump on me, marginalize me. And it wasn't a lot of that because people had sense enough to know, oh, we don't know who he is. So they just kind of like, you know, where did he come from? Because you don't normally have a consultant on set.
Right.
And my contract didn't ask me to be on set. I requested permission to do that. I was supposed to be at home. And when they called me by the historical fact, I was supposed to tell them that fact, get in my books, look it up. But I said, you know, I'm not going to understand what y'all doing unless I'm there to see it.
Exactly.
So they agreed. Let him come.
That's good.
And I had to bump heads with a few people, you know. And some people, when they started going to YouTube, who was loving up on me, stopped loving up on me, you know. But that's all good, you know. I am who I am.
You know, but I want to just say thank you very much for being a part of this journey. And I know you got so much more. I wish some publisher, Black-owned publisher, would come to you and say, "Look, let's write these series of books that you got in your head."
Well, my eldest son, who just finished his PhD, is a principal at a school out in Brownsville.
Okay.
And I was just out there with him because he was being put under some pressure. And people said, well, I know when I was in the meeting, people want to know, well, who are you? I said, I'm his advisor. I'm his daddy. So I mean, it's me. I ain't going to beat you up on my son. No, it ain't happening like that. I'm up in here. This boy has tried to make this an African-focused, African-centered school. It was a failed school when y'all gave it to him. He turned it around, and now you want to push him out. That ain't happening. And thanks, you know, people like Sister Barron was there with his back, Omawale was there with his back, and others from the community. So we cool. He wants to write this for his daddy. I want him to write his own book first, you know. But he insists, Daddy, I'd really like to do your biography first. So we're beginning to work on that process.
Good. Well, I'm proud. Now, you have any Cash Apps or PayPal you want people to send donations?
Oh, yeah, because I'm trying to send money over to pay the staff at that hotel. I have a few minutes to give people just a quick brief on the hotel in Ghana?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Yes, you know, we have a hotel in Ghana, 80 of us. It's not my hotel. Some people put in $500, some put in $1,000, some put in $2,000. A few of us was able to put in more. I've been the unpaid CEO for 15 years. Traveling at my own expenses, living at my own expenses to keep this project going. We raised $1 million in 2 years. Black folks, 80 Black folks, and bought it. We own it. We have a 66-year lease on it. Right now, we're closed to try and get renovations done. So we're trying to partner with a Ghanaian hotel chain, a big chain, who's coming in with the capital for a certain amount of equity. But in the meantime, we're trying to keep things going. So we had a staff of 47, which we had to cut because we couldn't pay them because we weren't getting the business, because we need upgrading and refurnishing and other things. But we still have to pay for the caretaker staff of 10 people there every month. So just about 5 of us have been doing that out of our pockets. So anything anybody could send, $1, $5, $10. And my Cash App is Dr. James Small.
Hold on 1 second. Dr. James?
James Small.
Smalls, okay.
No S on the end, just SMALL.
S-A-L, right, Dr. James Small. That's $ Dr. Dr. James Smalls, right?
Right, that's
no
it.
S at the end, right. Okay,
and if they want to do PayPal, that's C Small, the letter C, SMALL, 1926 at AOL.com. We would like to be able to, if I'm going to Ghana to the elder who sold me the hotel, funeral is next month. One of the most beautiful Pan-Africanists you ever want to meet, Nana Oku, who was one of the chiefs from Cape Coast. He was an advisor to the president on the Council of State. He helped my daughter Barbara get elected to Parliament. He has passed, and my heart is very broken because he was my father. And we met in a fist fight in Harlem years before, and we turned out to be two men that loved each other, who really did a lot of things together in Ghana. But he has gone to his ancestors' village now. And so, but I'm still raising that money every month to pay that staff, the security staff at the hotel, to make sure the place don't get vandalized or robbed while we're trying to get this agreement together. We're about 90% through. We got held up for 3 months because the banks, small banks, were not allowed to give loans for about 3 months while they were being assessed, I guess, to make sure they had the assets to make loans. So the bank we're working with, they've been released now. So they're in the process of trying to pull all the pieces back together. So we're hoping that within a month, and I hope that when I go next month, I can push this thing ahead towards the finality. And then we can start the renovation work and hope we'll be up and running by the end of May. Again, like I said, we were working 47 to 50 people out of that community. And I'd like to bring them back to their jobs, you know?
This is what I want to do right now. I'm going to send you $50 Cash App. And I want to see if people going to match that 50 with me, because now that's Dr. James Small, right? Dr. James
Small.
The
$sign Dr. James Small.
Dr.
And sometimes people ask me, does he really have a doctorate? Yes, I do have a doctorate, but because I don't push it or throw it, and my doctorate is in divinity. I taught comparative religion for 18 years, but most people don't know me like that, right? So it's a beautiful world if you look in the right places in that world.
Mine is going through. I just sent it. People, I need y'all to match it. His Cash App at Cash App. That's a $sign Dr. Dr. James JAMES.
And
small.
you came through already.
Yes, sir. I'm a real dude, brother. I'm a real dude. A family brother. I'm not gonna do that to you. Like I said, I won't match it.
And let people know that we are in a war.
Yes, sir.
And we've been in a war for centuries, and it's not going to end in our lifetimes. And this war is never for us, it's for the next generation that we fight.
Yes, sir.
And if we understand that, our commitment and devotion will be thorough. And we have these multiple religions in our community. We're not going to have people quit all their religions.
That's right.
We're not going to have people quit their temples. I'm a Freemason. I'm a Prince Hall Freemason. I am proud of it. For those who don't understand what Freemasonry is, call me. I'll give you some lessons in it. If you don't know the history of Prince Hall and the role it has played in our liberation movement, call me. You know, all over West Africa, we use this instrument. The Muslim community is not just in Saudi Arabia. The second largest Muslim community in the world is in Africa. Yes. There's no going back from that. So we have to learn to understand our Muslim brothers and sisters and learn to make peace with them and get an understanding of them. You know, the priest who I go to have all my works done, he's an Imam, a Hajj, and a traditional priest in Ghana. So there's a lot of things we've got to learn, you know, about our people, about this tradition. Our people are not going to leave the Christian church. So let's take this knowledge in the church.
That's right.
Let's take this knowledge right up in there. And understand the history and the roots of Christianity. Don't confuse our people utilizing the religion with the white men who tried to misuse the religion. We got to be smarter than that now. You know, I remember when I was young, and enough, Brother Hafiz, his minister is still here. He remembered when we would say, don't get drunk on Arabian punch. Don't confuse Islam with Arab culture or Pakistani culture. You know, Islam is a set of governing principles that we say come from the divine, that was extracted by ancestors from the universe, that if we live by those principles and work within the construct of those principles, we can build a community that can provide the food, clothing, shelter, safety. We can build a community that controls economic, politics, and culture. That's why I said, read Message to the Black Man. It'll wake you up. We've slept that book. We've slept that book. And read Wade Noble's book. There's a book called The Island of Meme, M-E-M-E, The Island of Meme. That's the book you've slept, people. Those two books alone will free your Black mind. No, I wanted to say something else, but I'm going to say mine.
Yeah, you can say behind, too. You can say behind.
But this whole process is about loving self. loving the divine, the God within you, so you can recognize the God within the person you want to partner with in the world.
Yes, sir.
Loving our ancestors, adoring their teaching and learning from their teaching,
Right.
so that we can bring it into today's realm and move forward with
sir.
the freedom process.
Well, Baba, thank you. Do you have a business number people could call for consultations and all that kind of stuff? Do you have that number? You want
Yes,
to put
sir. That's 914
Uh-huh.
960
Uh-huh.
2693.
93.
And
That's
all my consultations are free. If you want to donate to my Cash App, you can, but I don't charge anybody anything, because the wisdom don't belong to me. It didn't come from me. The knowledge don't belong to me. It didn't come from me. And the only reason I got it is to give it to you. The more wisdom you got, the more knowledge you got, the greater servant you should be to those who need it. Otherwise, it is a useless body of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Now let me repeat that number so people want to do any consultations with them, marriage counseling, all of that stuff.
Right. Yes, sir. 914-960-2693.
I got it. That's 914-960-2693. His Cash App is $ Dr. James Small. No S at the end of small. That's Dr. James Small. And you spell DRJAMES Small, SMALL. And his PayPal is csmall1926@aol.com. That's C, the letter C, small, SMALL 1926@aol.com.
So you can see I'm an OG because I still got an AOL.
Yeah, you got an AOL.
I got a few Gmails too, but I keep my AOL as well.
Like Dr. Africa still have Juno. I'm like, what is Juno doing?
Right, Juno go back in the day. Yeah. So, but my brother, I love your work, and I love the things you do for our people, and I love the forums you bring to our people, and the dignity with which you have brought them through all the time I've known you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peace and blessings on that.
I watched y'all at at UAM and all those different places back in the day. So hey, I had to do it my best way, even coming out of the nation, because I was in the nation with Khalid and that's still family as far. And I was in the Ansars back in the day, so they all family. So
Shechem, I heard, had a birthday the other day, and I missed calling him. I have to call him on his birthday. So we just have to understand that we're one African family that has its diversities. How do we get the diversities to work together? Yes, you're a Hebrew Israelite, but all of us are not Hebrew Israelites, because you was fighting with some black folks when you were leaving Egypt, and he wasn't a Hebrew Israelite. So don't say we all Hebrew Israelites. Yes, you're Muslim, but God didn't tell you to make all the rest of us Muslims. Matter of fact, it says messengers and prophets will send with the same message to all the people in the world.
That's right.
Okay. That's right. So don't confuse the issue with putting one group's methodology of understanding Islam on the rest of the world. Because I can go back in the Kimbut and show you us making the prayers in the same way in the three primary positions, and showing us making wudu. They didn't call it wudu. They made wudu just like we do today. They did ablution just like we do today. And so there's nothing new under the sun.
That's right.
There's innovation that each generation must do to bring the knowledge and bring the wisdom to themselves. And that's why I tell those, and I always put this out there, and this is not an appeasement to my brother Hafiz. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad brought Islam in the appropriate way to Black America. See, the people in the Philippines, they got their own brand. The Indonesian got their own twist. I'm not an Indonesian. The Pakistani got their own thing. I'm not a Pakistani. The Arabs and Saudi got their own thing. I'm in African America. And so the messenger brought us Islam in a manner that was suitable for us.
Yes.
And we should learn to respect that. I'm saying this to other Muslims.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We need to learn to respect that and find unity with our brothers and respect the minister. Keep using that incident with Malcolm as a division in our community. Nobody loved Malcolm more than I do. People don't even know what my relationship is or what my relationship to the family is, and they don't need to know. But that can no longer be allowed to be a picked for division in the Black community, or for the denial of the wisdom of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You can't deny that man is teaching you wisdom that's useful for you right now. You better get your ass out there and learn it.
That's right. That's
and
right.
put it to use. Or one day
Mi-
you'll cry because you didn't.
your beloved young brother, Student Minister Abdul Hafiz says, Assalamu alaikum. And he
Wa alaikum salam, brother minister. You know?
And he said, quit your post until you properly relieve. And he said, you still on it, Abdul. He said, we still on it.
Yeah.
We still on
Yes,
it. Thank
sir.
you very much,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
Thank you very much, Abdul Hafiz. Forever.
Yeah.
That's right. He said he is the original black man. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We are the original black
We've
man.
got to learn. We can't let the white man select who we learn from in our struggle.
That's right.
We got to stop that.
That's
and
right.
we've got to learn from all the great teachers, all the great spiritual leaders that have been sent by the ancestors and the divine to us. I tell the brothers who are Moors, I was studying Noble Drew Ali when I was 18 years old.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My grandpa was a member of the Moorish Science Temple, but he didn't see himself in a separate race from the rest of us.
That's right.
You understand? When the Honorable Noble Drew Ali came, he brought what he thought was the best identity he could bring to move us from under Negro slavery.
Yes, sir.
You know? And so there's so much to learn if we took our time and we studied our people. You know, you can learn from Father Divine. You can learn from Daddy Grace. Don't be foolish. You in the desert, you thirsty. You say, yeah, I see those 6 bottles, but I don't like them full of water, so I'm gonna die from thirst. I don't like those 6 bottles full of water. You know, wake up and be smart.
And be smart. Thank you again. I know you got an early morning in the morning.
Yeah, every morning. I'm in Brooklyn.
Morning. Said salute to your beautiful wife as usual.
I will.
And thank you very much for being a part of this channel, coming on my channel, King Simon Presents.
Thank you, my brother. It's an honor.
And we're going to talk. We got some more talk. I know we got to do some events coming up. I want to do really an all-day workshop with you. That we need to talk about it.
I'd love it. Let's do it. I'm getting old. I better get as much out as my brain have in it and my wisdom understanding is, and let our people record it and keep it. And whatever is useful in it, use it. What is not useful, set it aside.
But I've done it with Dr. Africa. I've done it with Phil Valentine. I've never done it with you. And that's like all 7 hours. 7 hours, one hour. But it's like only 50 to 60 people allowed at a certain rate. Believe me, we could have the blackboard or you could have a PowerPoint. But we're going to talk about it.
That'd be beautiful. Let's put it together.
Okay, no problem, Bob. I love and respect you, Noah. Take care.
Peace and blessings. Peace and
blessings. Peace and blessings. I'm going to get you out. No problem. If you know, yes. Okay, that was Professor James Small, our dear brother. If you want to do any consultation with him, you want to talk to him religious wise, spiritual wise, whatever wise you want to talk to him, his number is 914-960-2693. That's 914-960-2693. I want to apologize to everybody on YouTube because my chat was cut off. YouTube is doing some changes, so chat is disabled, but I'm going to send a feedback to them to get it reestablished so I can get people on the chat again. I want to thank the Facebook people. Although you can go to YouTube and watch this, and check it out at King Simon Presents on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing. James Small was at it. We went through a journey of Professor James Small from when he left the plantation, of the where he was living on a plantation when he was from 1945, and it was a plantation that his family purchased. But you got to hear the story as he goes through even the Bumpy Johnson movie that was on Epic. He was one of the consultants on that. We went through, a Malcolm. We went through a various amount of things with Professor Smalls on this journey, keeping it positive, keeping it straight to the point, focused. And when you have a wealth of wisdom like Professor Small, still alive and well, doing his thing, you got to show him love and respect. I sent him 50 on his Cash App. And if you can match that or give him whatever you can, remember he's also supporting his hotel in Ghana. So like this, send this out. Please share this, please like it. Please thumbs up on the video, show some love. His Cash App is $ Dr. James, that's JAMES small, SMALL. Send him a Cash App of $1 all the way to $100 to $1,000. It's up to you. PayPal is C small 1926 at AOL.com. That's C, letter C, small, SMALL, 1926 at AOL.com. And once again, for any consultation service to deal with him is 914-960-2693. Now, don't call him this late. He's an older brother who has to handle his family. So usually call him at a decent time. Text him at a decent time, call him at a decent time, preferably between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Those are the best times, Eastern Standard Time. Those are the best times to contact Professor Smalls, even to book him for a lecture or event or workshop. I will be doing a private workshop with him, which will be an all-day thing. That's coming up in New York, and I'll let people know. And please send your love to these elders. Send your love to these elders. Those that are just coming on. Once again, I want to apologize to the people on YouTube who didn't get to get on the chat because the chat has been disabled by YouTube. Because I think they're changing up the thing where you have to be child friendly and all that kind of stuff. You got to identify whether you're child friendly or whatever. But when I'm going through Zoom, it's hard to do that only because Zoom is one of those apparatuses that connects in without me being able to put what I want to put or change the status of the YouTube channel. So when I get back into this later on, then I will change it, and you can make comments below, and I'll have in the description bar everything about Professor Smalls, all his numbers, my contact. And those that have an Amazon account or a Kindle account or PDF account, these are my books. These are my books. Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. These are 2 of my 3 books. This is Numbers Are Simple, People Are Complicated. You can get it on Amazon and Kindle. My children's health book. This is Numbers Are Simple. Our children's health is important. Numbers are simple. Our children's health is important. And there's a promotional book that I have from my world of promotion since I was a young man up to now. It's called No Promotion is Bad Promotion. All publicity is good publicity. Just spell my name right. That is the revised version of my promotional book. So you can get that all on Amazon and Kindle under King Simon, your brother King Simon. And if you want to do a Numerovation service with me or session with me, please text me your full name and date of birth to 347-496-1022. That's 347-496-1022. I'm still in sunny Florida, hanging out with Dr. friends of mine and other friends, and get ready to head to Texas next to visit my son and a few other friends of mine out there in Texas. That'd be my first time in Texas, so I can't wait to go. And I'm still doing Numerovation Sessions. Remember, my brand of numerology or the study of numbers is all about motivating you with your numbers connected to your birthday and your name. I don't even care. I don't care if it's a spiritual name that you've chosen or religious name, but also do not negate your birth name. Go to my YouTube channel. I break that down briefly. Yesterday, I did a breakdown briefly on the importance, the basic importance of your name that your mama and your daddy gave to you, from a mathematical perspective, from a numerical perspective, from a numerovation perspective. Gave a simple breakdown using my name and my family connection and how I connected with my father and my mother and all that kind of stuff. And but I'm going to be putting up more on this same channel, King Simon Presents. So please share this, and please subscribe, press that bell, and you'll get the notification. Please, Facebook, I'm out of here. I'm get rid of you first, and then I'm going to get rid of YouTube next. Thank y'all, Facebook, for showing love. Abdul Hafiz, we're going to talk. I need to interview you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Be safe out there. And then all those people out here, let me end that YouTube thing. I'm supposed to have Minister Nori soon. I'm going to work on Wesley Muhammad. I'm going to work definitely on the East Coast Regional Student Minister, Abdul Hafiz Muhammad. Going to be doing an interview with him. And I got Kaba Hiawatha from the Hidden Colors series. I'm working on Professor Jeffries also. And just Dr. Africa. I got a lot of them coming back into town. Renoka Rashidi. Keeping a lot with the elders because they are getting older and we do need to cherish and respect what the elders. Also, I have some of the sisters that's going to be coming. I'm going to be interviewing a few doctors, a few psychiatrists. I'm working on Dr. Tasha. I'm working on Dr. Judge next. I want to bring in some healers. I want to do Ma from Fig Tree, and I definitely want to bring in Ma from Fig Tree. I want to see if I can find Queen of Four, get Queen of Four on here. Haven't seen her in a while, so I'm working on her. So, and we got to balance it off. We got to bring the sisters in and the brothers in. So I love to do that. Everybody know I love to do that. Enough respect to everybody that have shown me love over the years. And look, I'm out of here. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Instagram. Thank you, Facebook. Hit me up on Instagram, King Simon Productions, Facebook King Simon Productions, or Facebook King Simon, Facebook MC Simon, and also Twitter, King Simon Prod. Hit me up. Have a great day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be on this planet Earth. Love y'all, respect y'all. Up you mighty nation. You could accomplish what you will. King Simon is out of here. Peace.